little,
Miles from Tiverton.
but
They made, I was stopped.
yeah, so
Visible
definitely.
Oh, yeah, the various.
Nobody
Tell you about
for a
that,
while.
yeah.
Yeah,
To pick up on it, you know.
yeah, that there's that many, yeah.
Dave working for you again this year?
But what am I,
Dave working for you?
Oh, yeah.
when we were coming up
He's been with me
with.
10 years,
kids,
10 years
I know it's been a long time.
Yeah,
be involved
And
with
believe it or not, he's a real
I
good,
fell in
good
love
man.
with.
Yeah.
his temper can get a little.
So, and-
Oh, yeah.
bye.
Seen that at the golf course.
All right. We're working on it.
It was always. Always
My stern
fascinating,
name
so
is
that
like-
name stuck out to me.
Yeah,
Doesn't do it with me anymore, but. Have we started?
Not yet.
Yeah.
oh, we're live,
Well,
we're live.
We're recording it, so.
We haven't started, but someone's listening.
Was that all you were gonna do? I know you were gonna be missing one.
One, but,
We're missing
We're
Kate
missing
for
Katie,
sure.
but we got.
I saw
Penny's
her,
coming.
I saw Penny's card in the library, at the library.
But
I wonder if she forgot. She's usually early, right?
yeah,
We need Penny for a forum, don't we?
what time's the penny, what time's the?
Here comes somebody.
Here we
Here
go.
she comes.
There she is.
We just said we need Penny for a forum and you walk around the.
I thought I was gonna be late then.
Well, they're hoping for I haven't seen them out. No.
Okay. I think we've got everybody that's coming, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. If you could please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any adjustments to the agenda? And public comment, I seen none on the screen or in the audience. Did we want to approve any minutes?
I was gonna, yes, I'll call the budget committee to order and we have minutes from April 11th.
I would just point out there's a typo on the last page. The recreation reserve. This bribe spaced out and that 1,600 should be 5,000. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair motion to approve the minutes as corrected, amended. Correct.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
Okay.
all in favor? Thank you so much, Parker. Okay. Well. Turn this over to you, I think, Jeff, to
Same, yeah, but I am gonna,
remarks before you fly off.
right. So I would like to figure out what building and grounds really should be. I had 94,560.
That's what I know. I had the one that had 94,626.
That is what I've got in my notes from the night.
Okay.
Is it possible we change something to get to the six?
Mowing.
Change, you changed
And
from the
mowing.
6,000 to 7,500, line
Yeah, I think that's it.
273.
Yeah, we did change going.
We didn't change any wages or custodian or anything like that.
Nothing.
We did move the custodian down to contractor services and that changed.
That's
The
what.
biker and
that
the.
changed like one.
That's, there you go. Yeah, so the number I've got in the sheet is after the FICA has been adjusted, so that's.
The 94,560,
Yeah.
So
but that comes out exactly what the budget was originally.
No, that originally, 93,126.
Yeah,
Wasn't it 90? In my packet, I got 94,560.
I did too, but I think that was updated.
Because that was the first day, so that was that.
Right, we updated the budget. Because so many numbers changed within the budget for the building and grounds, we printed a whole new sheet.
Right.
You
Yeah.
put it in mine?
Handed it
Yeah.
out.
Ah, too efficient.
And in all of our others as well.
I'm thinking, why did, I don't recall? Oh, that's because I left it here.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's quite a coincidence.
so what's the final be?
What's that?
94,560.
Which I think was the updated one.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other was, there was a $1 difference on something,
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that's a rounding.
Debt service.
Debt service.
Positive that's a rounding. Because I think the 660 matches what you've had, right, Terry?
That's what I have, was the 650.
And then the final was the reserve for the town landing.
Well, and your notes this weekend said you were going back to 237 for
Yeah,
a reason I
that's
can't remember at
correct.
the moment, but yeah.
Yes, and the reason is because we've calculated we're gonna get 6,000 in boat excise tax. That's how much we expect to bring in. And we now are planning to spend 5,763 for the town landing. So that only leaves us, out of the 6,000, it only leaves us 237 to put into the reserve.
I'm sorry, tell me again the amount you expect to take in.
6,000.
Okay.
I think with those updates, all the numbers I think are what you guys had preliminarily approved. So I'll talk a little bit about the funding side of it. So if you go down to the right side, the column that starts with anticipated revenue, and track that down to where it says total, to the bottom of that column, we're anticipating to get $279,276 in various kinds of revenue. Then those have been applied primarily to the places where we expect them to go. For example, the ambulance, 126,000. We expect 120,000 from billing and 6,000 from loaning out our paramedics, or selling our paramedics. So those numbers are pretty much straightforward. The grant, the next column is the grants, and those are the stabilization grants that Amy talked about. 50,000 plus 33,568. Excise tax is what we expect to get primarily from vehicle taxes, excise tax, but also from boat. And there's a few other cats and dogs that get added into the reserves. The only thing I've got us taking from the reserves right now, and the only time I would put something in this column is if we are intending to pay for something that's on the budget side, the expense side, from a reserve account. We rarely do that if we're gonna also fund that reserve. In this case, we are planning to buy things from our reserve accounts, but they're not in the budget side. We just took them out of the budget side. The only thing I did put in there was we have $657 and some odd cents. And it'll probably be more because we'll get interest that's left over from the transfer station reserve that we built years ago. Where we backed out of PERC.
Right, yeah.
We backed out of PERC. At the end of that, they gave us money back. Each of the 3 towns put it in a reserve account until the transfer station needed it. They reached out, grabbed the money from us. We ended up with a little bit left in there. It's been gaining interest and there's no reason to keep that account, so we should empty it and delete it. Surplus, and this is where what I have, my recommendation, this again is my recommendation to the select board. The funding side of it is really a select board business. But typically you folks have made recommendations internal to each of yours. If you wanted it to come specifically from surplus or from reserves. But the select board has not voted on this yet. Probably we'll do that at the next meeting, I think.
And you, what is the 47,000
The 40s,
under town roads and snowplow is?
that's what's left over from the 67,000. That we bought the land for. We bought the land for 67 out of surplus. So it's coming back in, so I put 47 under town roads and I put 20 under reserves
Oh,
to go
so
into.
you're anticipating
Grant.
the grant from Land for the Main Future?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
to reimburse that, yeah, correct.
are we at that? Are we that confident?
I'm confident, I'm confident,
It's the optimist and the
yeah,
lawyer.
That it will happen in this fiscal year,
yes.
because there's a lot of
Yeah,
hoops we
well,
gotta jump through before
we
we're going to.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a lot of hoops to be jumped
There
through.
are, we should certainly hear this fiscal year whether they plan to approve it,
Right,
subject to hoops.
but I
But this
don't
is-
think they're gonna
This
get.
is banking on it coming in this year.
So
Next
FY,
year.
talking FY 24,
Next year.
25.
I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with their timing and I think it varies
So
by every grantee.
I mean, I think 2 things. One is I'm not sure we're to the point where we're that confident we're gonna get it. And even if we are, I agree with Penny. I'm not sure it's gonna happen in that next fiscal year. I mean, that would be a year and 3 months. That would be pretty quick for them.
Well, I believe, my understanding is that toward the end of this calendar year, they will be telling applicants whether they have provisionally approved their application.
But that's different than getting the cash in the
Right.
door.
And then
What
after,
this,
That is correct.
right,
and after they say it could happen, then that's when we have to do all this other stuff to get the
Yes.
money,
Which could
Yes.
take time.
which I'm sure will hit.
Yes.
And environmental studies, and
so I guess I think we're premature.
I agree.
Now, the only comment I've got is that we are, from the beginning, said we're gonna fund that reserve account from that source.
What,
20,000 to the conservation reserve.
I didn't quite understand you when you said that.
Well, I figured it would be from surplus in anticipation that that does come through at some point and create some more
Yeah,
surplus.
I mean, The understanding was that we're going to have to spend money to qualify to get that 67, so taking it out is the cart before the horse. We will have to spend more money before I'll guarantee we will have to spend more money before we get the 67.
Right, but we'll at that point know that we're approved
If we jump through the other
if we go
hoops.
through the other hoops.
Correct,
Right.
but we won't have the money to spend to jump through the hoops.
So I guess it could come out of, it would need to come out of surplus. Whether we get the 67 in or not.
Right,
But
yeah, I
that's
mean,
not-
you have to close the 382, 797 gap. Which apparently is $47,000. Are we still talking about that line? Cause I think somebody's jumped to the 20,000.
Well, the 20 is the 60, he pointed out the 67 and it's the sum of the 20 and the
Of the two,
47,
okay.
yeah.
So we have to fund. If you go across 45,280, we're short $47,000 to fund 382,797. And I don't see any reason why that shouldn't come from surplus, regardless of whether we get the grant or not.
Well, that's a different, okay, so that doesn't create, what you're saying is you want to do it whether there's a direct linkage or not,
Mhm.
Correct.
which. Okay,
And
all right, I'm fine then, as long as that's our understanding. That if we don't get the grant, we're gonna be reducing our surplus by that amount.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
What about the funds that were dedicated, ARPA monies that went to surplus?
Yeah, those are still,
Have those been applied and
they haven't been,
No.
but they're still in surplus.
Yeah,
But we had some of that sort of pegged for different projects. I don't remember what they were off the top of my head,
right.
earmarked, whatever you wanna call them. I don't remember what those were, and I'm not sure they added up to 67 either.
No, the generator was one. At Gilbert Butler. That it was earmarked for. The street, your light at Gilbert Butler was earmarked under that.
which that didn't happen.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head all.
The generator was done before the 67 was, or after the
Oh, I thought you were
60?
talking about ARPA funds.
No, I'm talking about.
We
When
used
we
them
moved the 67, we spent it on the paving just to get it out the door because we thought at that time they were gonna claw it back from Washington.
Right.
We hadn't spent it. And so we had 67,000, some of that was earmarked for. For lack of a better word, or at least, I won't even go as strong as earmark, was discussed about doing possible projects with them, with the understanding that our surplus was falsely inflated by $67,000 because we paid for the paving.
Sorry, is it a total coincidence that that's 67,000?
64, whatever it was.
It's coincidence that the two numbers are the same.
Yeah, it's John's misspeak. I think it's
Okay.
64 something.
Okay,
The
I
paving,
don't,
the paving was 33,990.62.
no, but that number that you had, the negative number you had on the roads was what?
That was 67.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Would that be too weird?
It is.
Well, it went, whatever the number was. Where's the roads? Right there. $67,243.
okay.
So, yes, that is coincidence.
Okay.
But it's 243, not 67
Okay.
even.
Okay.
But I think, so the short answer is. We haven't spent any of that money on anything else yet, and I don't know if that's still the plan or
We did buy the AEDs,
after.
they were earmarked for that,
Okay, so we have spent some of that 67.
and hooking up, the tanks at Gilbert Butler.
That was after. So the 67 is now how much?
I don't have that.
Oh,
Well, the tanks and filling them, that was 3,000 or something.
Yeah, I don't have the actual numbers, I just have what we had the earmark for.
Right,
so anyway, that answers your question, that's still there, and it's technically, based on what we agreed to when we put it in, is available for us to spend on things. Doesn't mean we have to. But.
But by the time we get to commitment time, we will know if we have spent it on it already. And we've got in this the things we're gonna spend money on for
Yeah.
next year.
The only one I can remember is we had talked about allocating a certain sum, I think it was 10,000 towards the tennis court, but that was
20.
20, but that was before we changed the plan,
Right.
so I'm not sure that's still needed. No, probably isn't, but there was a list though with some other things that people had spoken about.
And those that were identified, we had a list. When I did my calculations for the surplus, I included those anticipated. I don't think it was 65, I want to say it was something like 30,000 worth of things that I did not include in the surplus, in my surplus calculation.
So in a sense, you adjusted your forecast, accounted for some of that money being
Correct.
spent on other things at some point perhaps.
Yes, yeah, it did for some of it, I know that.
Okay, sorry.
Before you,
Yep.
head off, Jeff, could you go down to your surplus boxes?
Yes,
So, you're anticipating applying X amount of surplus, and I forget what the amount is, to reduce the commitment.
correct. 90, what did I put? Got it on here.
90, or is it 85,
It's
860?
90. No,
What?
It's 90.
95,637?
No,
No,
it's 90 even, 90,000 even.
Okay. Oh, 95, 60, yeah, that's it.
oh, right here, 90K, in the little black.
Yes,
Yeah,
little
there it
itty
is.
bitty eye test,
In the 2 font.
yeah. That's,
Okay.
that's if we wanted to get to a flat line, a no change in our, go from 14.9 mill rate this year to 14.9 next year.
Next year.
Based on your assumptions for the school.
Based on my
which is a
assumption.
huge assumption.
Yes,
Well,
although,
they're talking 5.9% increase,
yeah,
but we don't know how.
Yeah,
much.
but you don't know how that that could be 12% for all.
For
of
us,
that,
yeah.
And 1% for Rockland. you know.
Right, our share of that.
Yeah.
Has been going up. So. The 649, 550, 12% is after the 90K.
say that again. Oh, it would be less, well, if we took out 90, it would be less than 12%.
Really?
Where's this,
Well-
where are we talking now?
The little box next to the
I don't
surplus,
see.
where it says goes surplus, NS estimate, and then it's got a little start.
Mhm.
And then, so from that, that's my estimated amount of surplus.
Oh, I see.
And then the next number subtracts the 116,000 that we've got embedded in this spreadsheet. The next blocks, and that tells you it's about 13%. The next blocks is to get to 15%, we could take out. Well, we'd have to not include 76,000 to get back up to 15, but to get to 12%, 85,000 would do it. So I would be proposing 90,000, so it would be just a little bit less than 12%. If we did what I was
What
proposing,
is the percentage?
percentage of our,
Oh,
That's the number.
Yeah.
So. And
I just, percentage of the commitment.
of the commitment, yes. And,
Percentage.
well, no, it's not. No, it's not a percentage. of the commitment. It's a percentage of our expenses. Of our expenses.
Okay, not counting the school and the county.
Actually, I think they're included in it.
Okay.
I'd have to look back to see on it, but I'm pretty sure they are included in it.
Okay, so I've just been pondering, Betty's call to action and of course what we've all experienced of
Yeah.
that, absent a reserve for a disaster.
Right.
To start building one, that retaining as much surplus as we can as the rainy day fund is probably a good idea. On the other hand, I like the flat mill rate.
Well, and I don't want to belabor it, but I could argue that you don't want a flat mill rate.
Yeah,
You know,
I could argue
one,
that
it
too.
wants to go up because people need to be,
yeah,
accustomed to.
and.
Training.
Right.
We need to treat everybody.
Well, I think
It's also
fairly.
more than that, though. If you do extraordinary things to do it, to get to a zero, then the next year, those
Yeah.
extraordinary things may not be there.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah,
opportunity.
A little bit each year, it's a little
Right,
easier
I
to
mean,
take than it
we
is.
tried over the years to avoid this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people get really, they don't remember that they had a decrease or a slight increase the year before. We tried to be more like this.
But now I could, in this case, this year, I'm really mixed on this, because typically I do not want to have a zero. But this year, since the bulk of the folks out there that are gonna be impacted most by taxes are the ones who had a flat one last year. But not only is it flat, this year is gonna be based on the growth of last year. So they're gonna get hit twice. They're gonna get what they should have paid last year added into this year.
And those are all residents,
And those are all residents, that's right.
as opposed to,
Right.
And we're all old,
well, I don't know about that, but. What?
well, seniors.
Yeah.
It had to be, yeah.
How's that
Yeah,
gonna show up?
that's-
That's just gonna be in our tax bill?
That's not old.
Yeah, it won't show up because you're not really adding it back in, but
It's just
the amount you
the
get taxed
increase.
on it's what it was before. It'll show up if you look at your previous one, because I think it showed, this is what your tax rate is. This is what we're deducting because of the stabilization program. And so this is what you have to pay. So this year, there just won't be a subtraction.
Just an editorial comment.
People got shocked.
I know.
Some people.
We,
Well, they don't have to
we have
do
a,
that, right?
state-
It's just that they get last year's
at the
increase.
beginning of
this year.
the fiscal year, the state was projecting a $265 million surplus. That's over 300 million now, and yet,
And yet we don't have that second payment yet.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah, I know.
Janet, give us some, Janet, take us away.
That's because we're not doing the things that they want us to do, like turn all of our forests into affordable housing.
They don't want that. They just want a lot of affordable housing somewhere.
But not in my backyard.
Any other leave behinds, Jeff?
No, unless you've got any questions on,
Thank you for doing this.
no problem. And I did not make any
This is
charge.
yeoman's work.
Thank you. Well, it's pretty easy once you got it started. It's just plug it and chug it.
We'll take your word for it.
But once I get some more numbers for the education, then I'll do charts and graphs like I did last.
So, can I,
Don't understate the amount of thought that you put into this. It's not-
can I ask a question? Has somebody actually double checked the totals against what was preliminary approved? Did I kind of get that from the earlier discussion?
Yeah, the 2025 numbers
Huh?
You mean
were,
like the original first budget and adding what we added and subtracting.
No, has someone checked this column up to the right against what we preliminary approved or what the budget committee preliminary approved
yeah,
by category? Okay.
yes.
because it's so easy to
Yep.
hit a wrong key.
Yeah,
Oops, that's only off $100.
there were two checks. I did this independent of the updated version that Terry and Hannah have done. And then after they sent that out, I compared it and they were the
Yeah.
same. And then she did a pretty good check on it.
You did?
Yeah, and she's the one that found the difference between what was approved on the ninth. Because. And that was that difference and then the $1 difference.
So we've had two sets of eyes on it at least. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And have you looked at it?
Yes, and I have a sheet that I started with the very back way at the beginning, the
Yeah.
original, and I've added a minus, and I actually get the same number, so we're all good.
Good.
I'm happy. Yeah. We did have this discussion a little bit earlier today. If 2 or 3 people all agree on the numbers, then they're right. That's what we agreed to. I don't know if that's true or not.
If that's
a good
true,
rubric.
if I say it 3 times, it is true.
Well,
Only while picking
Lewis
your
Carroll.
nails.
The other side of that is, if I tell you something 3 times, it will be a fact. You will think it's a fact.
Legal Jews.
John, can you take over?
I can.
All right.
Okay. All I have to do is adjourn us, right?
That's right.
All right.
See you guys later.
Have fun.
Recommend that we work from this. And the form of the motion should be, I move that, as an example, the administration budget be funded at $280,026, $80,000 of which come from excise and $28,290 from anticipated revenue and $171,736 from appropriation. So who wants to go first?
Well, didn't you just do one?
Yes, the chair can make a motion, yeah, I so move, there's a second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Okay,
All in favor?
that was admin.
This would be a good cut and paste exercise.
All right, assessors,
I move a budget of $35,909. $10,909 from appropriations, $22,000 from anticipated revenue, $3,000 surplus, for a total of $35,909. I guess I don't have to say that twice.
Well done, Penny.
Okay, I second.
any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Lost my pen, I'm using fingers.
But
The piece of paper, it works so much better.
I know, I gotta take my glasses off.
planning and board of
Pretty
appeals.
tiny.
Planning board and board of appeals. Anybody?
Well, I'm not sure how to say it, but
Oh, this one's easy.
I know,
I move that planning board and board of appeals be funded at $2,718 from appropriation.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you, sir.
Somebody else should do the next
She's,
one.
she'll recuse herself from the conservation budget. I move that conservation commission be funded at $618 and $618 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
You want me to do one?
Yeah.
Okay, I move that buildings and ground is funded $94,560. $19,000 from surplus, $50,000 from excise, $13,155 from anticipated revenue, and $12,405 from appropriations.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to catch up.
You guys want me to whip through these? Or make the motions?
Yes.
All right,
Oh, who seconded? On building,
Me,
okay.
be easier for the note taker if the same person seconded.
Well, that's true, but that's, yeah, right, because I can't hear you guys.
No, you wouldn't have to keep changing names in the minutes.
Right.
Oh, no, I'm just doing initials, it's not a problem.
Okay, so town landing, I move that the budget committee recommend $5,763 for the town landing. And that $5,763 come from the boat excise tax.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, Terry,
Yes,
the CEO of the plumbing budget. I move that 59,626 funded for CEO and plumbing, and that 10,000 of that come from surplus, 15,000 of that from excise, 15,276 from anticipated revenue, and 19,350 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you 1,000 more times, Terry, for taking on that role. Fire department, I move that the fire department, that we recommend fire department funding at 167,850, 7,000 of which to come from surplus, and 160,850 from appropriations.
second.
Wait,
Yeah,
Any
Did you get
discussion?
everything?
I just keep getting on the wrong line, sorry.
I'm using Penny's method, it works.
It does.
You okay, Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Ambulance department, I move that the ambulance, that we recommend, spending for the, budget for the, ambulance department at $380,989, 1,000 of which to come from surplus, 33,568 from the grant, 126,000 from anticipated revenue, and 220,421 from appropriation.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, emergency management, animal control, E911. I move that that we recommend funding at 81,914, 6,355 from anticipated revenue, and 75,559 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Street lights, I move that the street light, that we recommend funding for street lights of 3,500, and 3,500 come from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Town roads, I move that town roads, that we recommend recommend spending of $382,797 for town roads, 47,000 of which to come from surplus, 280,000 from excise, 45,000 from anticipated revenue, and 10,797 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? John, you, somewhere along the education process, you guys might want to point out that, that we've drained the paving reserve, and that's why all these other sources for that budget come from. It's dump
dump and transfer.
and transfer, okay. I move that, the stump dump and the transfer station, solid waste actually, that we recommend $345,840, $7,000 from surplus, $660 to close out the transfer station reserve, 3,300 from anticipated revenue and appropriation of $334,880.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, social services, welfare, I move that, that we recommend $1,500 for welfare and that it come from anticipated revenue.
second,
Is there any discussion? No, all in favor? What's the revenue source, Terry?
Of what?
The 1,500 for, is that from the state?
Yeah, we get reimbursed.
We get a reimbursed, okay.
Anyone ever fills out an application,
You don't get 100% though, right?
it's 7 days.
Okay, library. I move that, we recommend $5,079 for the library, $2,000 from surplus, $2,500 from anticipated revenue, and $579 from appropriation.
second,
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Now abstain.
Right.
Recreation, I move that we, recommend recreation spending of $1,960 and that $1,960 come from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Debt service, I move that we recommend funding $32,660 for debt service, $15,600 from anticipated revenue, and $17,060 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, so these are the operational transfers to reserves. I recommend that we, I move that we recommend transfers to reserves of $219,477, $20,000 of which comes from surplus, $237 from excise and specifically boat excise, $50,000 from grant, and $149,240 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Cemetery, shellfish, and veterans. I move that we recommend funding at $34,468, $300 from anticipated revenue, and $34,168 from appropriation.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Now
You
abstain.
abstain.
You say it again.
Right.
Just point of it, just a question, Penny.
I abstain because it involves,
Oh, I know.
okay.
I appreciate that. The Anderson Cemetery,
Mhm.
anything going on there? I mean,
Well, we mow it.
yeah, I know that.
It's kind of very lonely there.
Right.
The reserves that are going into the cemetery reserve will be to create a public cemetery from the private family cemetery to the road on the 2 acres they gave us.
A longer term objective, I would think.
Well, yeah, we've talked about doing a circle avenue that would be walked into the center. There are wetlands in the middle that we won't be able to use, and then walk out on the other side. So, it depends how big we make that avenue, how much we need to spend. We have opened up 100 or not 150 more spaces in the village cemetery, so we're not
Okay.
having such a pinch to have property available for purchase. Though there are people that would like to buy over there and be buried on the river road rather than in the village. So hopefully in the next 5 years, maybe we can develop a plan for there.
Thanks, sorry for the,
But the reason I abstain is because these budgets include payment to me as overseer and director.
Understood.
okay.
Capital,
Yeah, there is no capital this year,
So,
but we're done.
okay,
Thank you all.
Dan,
Sure.
better if Jeff was here, but it's all very pretty, but why are some of these red and some green?
so he's in the.
I don't know.
And some blue.
True enough.
Gotta be a reason.
I'm sure there's a reason.
I'm sure there is. Oh, well, next time I catch him. I'll
The
remember
green
that.
ones are decreased.
I mean, there can be a contest on what we think the reason is.
I think the green ones are a negative percentage and the red ones are
Increase.
an increased percentage.
Which is usually red, usually is a decrease.
Oh,
well.
No, you go in the red, that is more.
Red is worse news than when the cost is going
And you
down.
can't put black because when we're in the black, because it's already got black.
Okay.
So, but if you, a lot of times on a computer, you'll see
Right.
if it's a negative number, it's red.
Right,
Yeah.
Mhm.
this is Jeff Loud.
Because he calls himself NS too, so.
First and last letter of his last.
I
name.
know, I know, but
I speak Jeff.
I asked after 10 years, I said, why do you sign your emails NS? So. Oh,
All right, without objection, I'm gonna adjourn the budget committee.
without objection, I'm gonna reserve,
Good.
adjourn the select board.
Thank you, guys.
Just like that.
Good job.
See you in June.
Oh, wait, so that when here, it can actually be posted on the tablet.
I'm out of here tomorrow for a week.
When you get it.
Right. You all would send me the best available times for next days and time next week.
I guess.
I'm available. I mean, we're talking five o'clock.
Yeah.
Actually, when we sign them.
I say that.
Yeah, so now they're not saying a day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Me too.
You're gonna be looking forward to getting home. We can Boston, that sounds pretty nice.
Well, there's a special
Gonna be paying
meeting.
one else.
There's a special meeting.
Just one.
If we finish the kind of best,
The old son's birthday.
Oh.
those are my favorite things. So that- So that was it. We can do it. Well, 5:30. Okay.